So yeah, as I discussed, we're going to be answering B9 RS5, RS4, 2.9T questions about our brand new stage one file that we just released. So let's jump into it. Okay. Let's talk about the power figures. So stock 2.9T horsepower is 441.
Yeah, Audi grades it at 444. We measured 441. On our dyno, we came in at a 441 crank.
Yeah, and 467 torque. Okay. So based on that, which is basically the same as factory, within a few horsepower, our advertised power for stage one is 484 horsepower and 501 torque, and that's stage one on 91. Stage one E85 we are rating at 532 horsepower and 548 torque.
Yep.
And then 1 plus, which would be our stage one tune, or our 1 plus tune, plus a high pressure fuel pump.
Yep.
You're going to need to source a high pressure fuel pump that flows about 25% more than factory or more. 37%?
That's where they're all kind of landing right now.
Okay. I guess most of the options are 37%. So you want something like that. And on E85, we're getting 566 horsepower and 610, which is just crazy. So these are all crankshaft figures. So jumping into some of the questions, someone's asking what is drivability like compared to JB4 and other piggybacks. I mean, in our own experience, we've tested a lot of piggybacks. We haven't come to market with one yet, but shifting quality is smoother.
That's one of the biggest things you're gonna usually notice right away is your shift quality is pretty severely degraded. I don't know. Some people claim it's not, or it's great, or maybe they just don't know what they're looking for. But it's the TCU is basically being lied to as much as the ECU. So your torque reporting is generally severely underrated, or it is underrated. And so when the TCU is trying to manage that torque and then adjust for the engine power to change gears and get into the next gear, it's getting all the wrong data from the ECU. So it doesn't know how much how much power to pull, how much clutch clamping or line pressures it's going to need. So it's always playing catch up.
To clarify, when you put a JB4 or a tuning box on a stock car, it shifts worse than stock.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it works, because all the ECU and TCU are now being tricked and lied to, and the inputs are now compromised, so the outputs are compromised.
And it's across the board too. It's it's everything from the sport diff to the traction control to it's literally everything that relies on the torque output. The calculated torque from the ECU. All these other systems now depend on. So those are all being scaled down and fudged.
Yeah. Imagine you're at work and you're trying to do your job and you're relying on other people to give you information on how to do your job well, and they're all lying to you. So it's generally not how things are supposed to work. So we go in and reprogram everything so that the ECU and TCU are getting accurate data, as accurate as it is stock. And in most cases, we're able to improve on factory drivability because even the factory leaves some issues in the tuning that we can go in and resolve. Let's see, what else? Where did that go?
It was right up here. We finished off on that.
No, we weren't done with that one yet. We were only talking about shift quality. There's other issues like throttle response, throttle
drivability,
input, which is a big one of the defining things of drivability is when you dip into the throttle, the throttle body has to correspond to the amount of movement of the throttle pedal. And again, because it's being lied to and tricked, that's going to cause drivability issues. And then, we can actually control the power and torque curve through the boost control system. A JB4 can't do that, so it can maybe try to trick the ECU more in some places than others to manipulate the boost, but it's just such a hodgepodge way to do it. And again, JB4 is doing probably this better than anybody. If you're going to lie to an ECU, they do it probably as good as anybody. So no offense to JB4, they just don't know. They don't calibrate.
Yeah, it's a different way.
They don't have a tuning process
to try and accomplish this.
So of all the compromised tuning box solutions, JB4 is the best, which is why all of you have probably purchased it. But I mean, it's just crazy for an RS Audi to have its ECU tricked into creating more performance. It just seems so wrong. So, we'd like to bring the proper option to the market. This is a true world-class tuning solution. The fact that people are even comparing it to JB4 is concerning and tells me that people really don't understand what they have under their hood. Fortunately, lots of people aren't blowing their engines on these apparently, but it's pretty shocking that they don't. And I guess it speaks to how good the factory safety systems are. There's a big safety net under the JB4, and it's working really hard to keep things from being damaged.
Yep.
But I don't think that's the kind of safety that you want in your. I mean, if you blow a 2.9T motor, it's going to cost you like 30-40 grand.
No, yeah.
Just the motor from the factory is probably 20-30 grand. So,
and it's those safety nets are all founded though on expected parameters that the ECU is getting. So things like say you have an O2 sensor that fails, an oxygen sensor that fails, which is not uncommon. The ECU then defaults then to its base mapping, and it can't do any kind of fuel trimming or adjustments based on that it's now faulty O2 sensor. So it goes back to its default maps only, and requires that the amount of air coming in is exactly what it expects in order to supply the amount of fuel that it needs. And when your tuning box is in the middle lying to the ECU about the amount of air coming in, then your fuel mixture is going to be incredibly lean is how it's going to end up being metered, because it thinks there's a lot less air getting in. So there's stuff like that where if everything on your car is working correctly, great. But if you get a sensor that drops out and you have to resort back to the fail safe or the default mappings, you're in a lot more unknown territory there.
But to follow up on JB4, someone asked, it appears you have the same performance as a JB4 on 91, except you're flashing the ECU. Identical? Okay. I don't know. I haven't seen those JB4 performance numbers. We have not really released a lot of performance data. It's possible that peak horsepower on some dyno could have been measured similar to what we're posting. I'd love to see it. In general, tuning boxes produce much less power because they can only trick the sensors so much. There is a limit to how far you can take that. And an identical quarter mile time on full 85 as APR ran a year and a half ago. All right, so for the record, we posted a draggy of our car during tuning calibration development, which was pretty early on in the development. And we posted a 1099 in a very impromptu, just kind of part of like the tuning and testing that we do. We have not gone out and ran any official drag times. We will go much faster than that. We will go much faster than what APR has done.
Yeah, that would be like full, completely unprepped car, just out doing some testing.
I guarantee APR prepped their car. I don't know what they did to it, but typically APRs. I mean, there's been all kinds of APR has hidden nitrous in cars and stuff to post past time. But I don't know what they've done this time. But we will go much faster than APR. Just in a full weight street trim car with our tune and flash with the 85.
They're running tires too.
Yeah, this was like stock wheels and tires.
So they had our 888s. We were just on factory street rubber. I mean, there's we can go on.
But no, there'll be more times.
There'll be lots more fast drag runs from us. Don't worry. We haven't really posted any yet. But let's see. What other gains are there from your tune versus my current piggyback and 91 octane? Well, reference the entire section that we just talked about your piggyback.
Drivability, safety.
We don't need to rehash all.
Yeah, it's all. We just went over.
Just as far as like advertised tuning numbers, if you look at APRs, and sorry to call out APR directly on these, but they inflate their factory power numbers by about 20 horsepower. So if you'd like to go look, we're actually quoting below factory power. So we're 441 and and the factory claims 444. But they're adding 20 horsepower to about 20 horsepower to the factory numbers.
They've been doing this for a number of years. I'm not sure what they think they're getting out of it.
Well, what they get is
I guess I'm sorry. Yes,
what they get is people don't know.
Yeah.
People don't get it or they don't see, and so like I said last week, if you're in a high jump competition and when it's your turn, you put a 6-inch step stool there, you're gonna go 6 inches higher than everyone else just because you're already starting at a higher point. So APR inflates the factory number and then they add to that. So if you take a look at the deltas, they're nothing special. Currently, they're about 20 horsepower higher than our quoted figures. And in some cases, when you take out their 20 horsepower, we're actually a little bit higher than. But all week long, I've been hearing that you're making less power than APR. That's absolutely not true.
Yeah, if people are just looking at the top line number, one number without any context, and you've got to do it as a just like a dyno reading. You've got to look at your baseline and then your after.
And don't take my word for it. Just go to their website right now.
It's right there. Look at the as measured by APR stock numbers.
Maybe Aaron's rushing to the website to correct it. I don't know.
Magically, they're 20 plus horsepower over Audis when what we measured lined up exactly with what we would have expected.
And you're welcome to go through their entire catalog. You can look at their MQB numbers, their Gen 3 EA 888 numbers.
It's been like that for a while.
The 3.0T numbers, their DAZA numbers, they're all, they inflate them to various degrees. If you're cool with that as a customer and you have no issues with that, that's just not, we don't do that and we will report things accurately. As far as over other tuning options, which again, I'm not sure there's much other than APR on the market. We are just beginning this program, so we just have released this tune.
Yep.
We will be adding all of our features. So if you want to go look at the features that we have for our B8 3.0T tunes, we will be updating RS 2.9T tuning to all these type of features. We are just beginning development. I believe you'll find that the other tuners on the market have pretty much released something and that's it. They're moving on to other things.
Yep.
We are just getting started. We're very committed to the B9 program. You can take a look at the massive success we've had in 3.0T. Nobody's even competing with us. And there's been polls recently, and I sound kind of cocky and insane, but it's true. If you go look at the polls, it's like 50 to 75% of B9 3.0T users are running our tuning now. So we will bring that same kind of success to 2.9T. Our OEM Plus type tuning, the safety strategies that we employ, we keep the factory TCU connected to the ECU so that it is involved in the safety strategy of reducing torque when there's a problem in the TCU or drivetrain. Again, features, drivability, smoothness, the optimal peak power that we're producing. That's what you're getting. So like I said, the JB4 kind of got you here, and that's great. It's time to move on to an actual solution if you'd like to, and it's just the beginning. So we're very confident we'll be running low tens.
That'll be
soon with our calibration. And then there's been a question about 93 octane.
Yep, coming soon.
It's coming very soon. We wanted to just get to market with 91 and 85. You can run the 91 file with 93 octane fuel.
Yep.
That's okay. And then 93 is coming. There's a little bit of power to be gained by going to 93 from 91. It's not huge.
Yeah,
we should have that out in the next week or two.
Yeah, speculating on there like between 15 and 20 something.
Yeah, 15, 20 horsepower. Stage 2 ETA, can I run upgraded downpipes on my car in stage 1 until you release stage 2? I know I'll have a check in July, but would there be any concerns? What do you think, Nate?
We don't generally recommend that. It depends on the downpipe and whatnot, but boost control is pretty
back pressure.
Pretty specific, as to how much back pressure there is behind the gate, the waste gate. So we don't test in that situation. I can't speak to that to know if it'll work or not. I think I've heard of a couple of guys running that setup.
People are doing it. They will do it. We don't recommend it.
We don't recommend.
There's
it.
not
So,
that much power to be gained, frankly. But if
Yeah.
if you already have it,
yeah, I think there's a couple of guys right now that are in that same scenario, but I can't speak to that and how things are looking. So we don't recommend that.
Stage 2 is something that we'll begin working on. We don't have a release date, but it won't be too far out. That's not that much further. And keep in mind, stage 2's our messaging more and more is stick with the factory cat.
Yeah.
If you're on the street, it's the law.
You've got to.
If you're racing, you can go to a high flow cat, and there will be a marginal power gain. In most cases, we're talking another 10, 15 horsepower or something like that. But these factory cats flow a lot. The 2.9T has two really nice big cats from the factory, and the gains are just pretty cool. So, and you get all the benefits of not polluting the air, not having carbon or soot, not having nasty smell. I know when I'm on the road and I'm driving behind someone who's catless, you can really tell it's noxious. So, let's see. I thought we couldn't run straight E85 in our cars. I thought the max we can use is E30 with proper tuning, unlike Piggy. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, you can. Well, we offer full E85 tune. I don't know who told you that or what you read or whatever. That's wrong. And so, on our tuning, you can just fill your tank up with E85. Generally, we're asking it to be at least E60 to E65.
Yeah.
Up to about E85. You also don't want to run E100.
Yep. And I mean, sure, you can say that you can't run straight E85 in our cars. You do need, a fuel pump if you want some more power, and you can get more power with a fuel pump. I guess there's that, but there's nothing keeping you from running it and running it with a, you can look at the power numbers on our website. Just kind of speak for themselves. E85 certainly works both stage 1 and 1 plus. So, no problems there.
It's kind of confusing. There's like questions, and then there's
the second
bullets that are
tab
questions, and then also answers.
Yeah, it's very mixed up.
Do you recommend upgrading my intercooler system if I'm running pump gas? Are there any long-term negative effects if I do not? Currently, on our stage 1 or 1 plus, you do not need to run an intercooler. It's not required. Generally speaking, on turbo motors, as a rule of thumb, the closer you can get to ambient air temps, the better. So it doesn't matter what car, what system. It's basic physics that cooler air is more dense.
And there's
more energy and oxygen in dense air.
Yeah, these will start derating power. With the stock intercooler, it will start derating power. That's just how it has to happen because air temps will start to climb pretty quickly.
On our tuning, there's no long-term effects.
Your power drops off.
Our tuning will bring the boost down to a safe level, and since all the control systems and safety systems are in place with our tuning, there's no long-term damage. You will just notice less and less power. Now on a JB4 or something like that, or on a tuning box, yes, you can definitely create long-term damage. Those safety systems are severely.
It's going to totally depend on what what they're intercepting and what they're manipulating.
Yeah. I need exhaust flaps open 100% of the time. I will switch if this happens.
I mean, there's been exhaust flap delete kits and stuff out there. I don't. That's a tough one to
we don't currently
to map for because lots of people don't want that. So it's a tricky thing to.
He meant to that.
No, I understand. Yeah, I get it. But we get complaints about either way, so it's a tough one to satisfy everybody. If you want them just open all the time, there are controllers and deletes out there.
To Nate's point, if you just want to delete the flaps, you can. But there's so many other benefits to going to our tuning.
Yeah, that's obviously a pretty cosmic one.
What hybrid turbos are you going to develop for? So currently we're looking at TTE 720 and possibly Pure 700. but we're open to options. Like we always say, we don't care about hybrid turbos. We don't care which one you run. I mean, we care about hybrid turbos, but we
do
don't
care
care
about them.
which one you
Yeah,
run.
we're not-
We'll support whatever everybody wants. We care about supporting the one that everyone wants. And we're not here to sell someone's hybrid turbo over another unless there was a good reason. I think generally the TTE stuff is emerging as a great option.
Yeah, they're pretty well established now with those
And there's some
platforms.
controversy around pure here and there, especially in 2.8T that I've heard of. But we will support whatever hybrid turbo option people like. Eventually, we will come out with our own hybrid turbo options, and then we'll recommend those, and we'll support those.
Right, because that's obviously we've got
Yeah.
all the design considerations we want for turbos.
What spark plugs do you recommend? So our tunes are rated and calibrated for factory spark plugs. So there's no issue running factory spark plugs there. If you would like to use an aftermarket spark plug, what we recommend and offer is the Brisk 2 MOR 10S, which is slightly cooler heat range than factory. This is just a good performance plug in general. You can read about the benefits of Brisk plugs on our website if you'd like. And the cooler heat range just makes the plug more detonation resistant. And I went into detail about that in last week's episode. But it's a little bit more forgiving when it comes to detonation and what fuel you're running and stuff like that.
Yep.
But again, if your plugs are firing and you're not getting misfires or anything, there's really no power to be gained by swapping out your plugs.
Or coils.
No, there's no coil issues either. Unless you just like a different color, then that's a perfectly good reason.
Yeah, as long as that coil is as good as the factory.
Yeah, in a lot of cases they're not. E85 maintenance, any difference? Plugs, oils, oil change interval.
I think we have a clip out speaking to
We've
this.
talked about this, yes. In general, you want to change your oil a little bit more often.
Yeah.
The E85 has water in it, and it's water soluble. It's alcohol.
Yeah, you can also think of it as like change your oil, maybe not based on mileage, but think of it as how much fuel is pushed through the motor. So, E85, you're running 30% essentially more fuel through the motor. So you take that into account.
That's a good way.
And say maybe I need to do like a 30% reduction on my oil change intervals, just as a safe, balance everything out as much as possible.
Yeah. The plugs, just change them out when you start seeing a misfire.
Yeah. But I mean, I haven't seen any need to change plugs at any different interval on those, other than we're running a lot more power, so that in and of itself, I don't think it's an E85 thing, just potentially a more higher power.
I think in general too, we've seen injector clogging issues on FSI motors, possibly at a higher rate than we did with Ford injection.
It's such a hard.
It's hit or miss.
Yeah, it's hit or miss because there's so many, obviously, way more people out there running fully 85 or ethanol blended files that don't have any injector issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also a lot of guys with stock motors, stock tune, stock everything that have lots of injector failures too. So, I don't have a good lock on any change in performance, but you can always just flash it to the 91 file or 93 file or stock file, run through a tank or two of fuel if you feel like you want to clean things out.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. How is the tune affected if you take your car to the dealer and they have a recall update? Do you need to return to stock prior to going to the dealer? On that note, can Audi see that the ECU was altered? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so whenever you take your car to the dealership, you just flash back to stock, which you can do with our cable through our server in the convenience of your own driveway or home or Starbucks. The only thing Audi can see is that there's a flash counter, and it's up to them to decide how they feel about that. They're on very weak legal standing to cancel your warranty based on how many times your ECU's been flashed. It's hard to say, but legally they have to be able to prove that any modifications to the car are directly linked or caused any warranty claims.
Yeah.
Now, there's no case where they would be able to refuse you service. So if your ECU needs an update or there's a recall, legally recalls are legal things. They're required by law to fix your car. But if you blew a motor or something and there was a few extra flash counts, they could try to give you a hard time about that. But I just don't think, we're not here to say anything for sure, but legally they would have a hard time proving it.
Yeah.
Now the question is, do you want to go through that and argue with the dealer and then contact Audi corporate and do all that?
And flash counts are an interesting thing too, because I want to say it's by law that third-party shops are allowed to flash and update and perform updates and reflashes on control units. Audi has a whole dealer and privateer oriented system that you can reflash controllers through. So the flash count is not indicative that it's necessarily a performance file that was flashed. So
Sure.
That's a tough metric to use as a definitive yes or no.
And Audi's a private business. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
They could say we're not serving people with black hair anymore, and then there'd be like ACLU lawsuit or something. But you also own the car. You're a free citizen of this country. And if you want to frickin' flash your car, you can. And if it doesn't damage or hurt the engine, then nobody should care about that.
Yeah.
And, it's one thing to blow up your motor and then expect Audi to warranty it. It's another to just enjoy your life, flash a perfectly safe and world-class tune to your ECU, enjoy your driving experience that much more, and then go get products and services at the dealership. So I don't like the dealership scaring people into not doing what they deserve to do, but I also don't support people trying to rip off the dealerships either.
Right. There is,
There are no, if you look across all of our tuning, there are no confirmed cases that any of our tunings have blown up engines. People have blown their engines while on our tuning, and in almost every case we've looked and researched those and found that the root cause had nothing to do with our tuning. So our tuning is very safe. We feel confident putting it on cars with factory warranties. We have no concerns about that our tune will do any damage. But tuning boxes are actually much more dangerous for the engine, and there's this idea that those are okay for warranty, and there's probably documented cases out there that people have blown engines on tuning boxes and taken them to a dealership and had them warranted. So anyways, all right. How's the tune affected? Okay.
it's the same one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you need to return to stock? Yes. So anyways, if you have a flash and going to a dealership, just flash back to stock.
Yep.
If they ask you about flash counts, just give them a blank look. It's none of their business. I would just be like, I don't know what a flash count is.
and I've never heard anybody ask for that, but yeah,
No.
You don't even know what it is just to begin with, necessarily, because there are a number of times where it's incremented. If there's a like a lot of the RS3s that came in had to be updated at the port before they were allowed. So they've got
Maybe some guy like
multiple flash counts on
flashed it 10 times.
Yep.
Because there's wrong.
So, yeah, it's a tough metric to use to stand on.
Is there a specific heat exchanger and intercooler that you recommend for the B9 RS5? We'd recommend the Wagner kit. I believe that's on our website or being added to our website. Yeah. That's a really nice, well-engineered kit. So yeah, and we're going to be doing all of our development testing for that unit.
Yeah, to date we've been with the stock system only for calibration purposes to ensure that we're, supporting the worst case situation in these vehicles.
I'm running a bigger intercooler and heat exchanger for my RS5. Will your stage 2 require anything except catless or race cats? At this time, I don't think.
It'll be a fuel pump. It'll be like 1 plus, and then the supporting mods for that at a minimum. But
we'll list that.
We'll list
at this time, I don't think we do. One last question. about 2.9T is, will you be supporting C8.6? That's the 2.9T with the 48 volt electric turbo. We'd like to. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's not currently a
Yeah, we've had
a priority.
a couple of questions about it, but
Yeah.
it's been quite low on our.
I think there's a good chance we will eventually support that,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you, it's probably not this year. So, looks like we got one more. Wow, 566 horsepower on stage 1, 2.9T. Is it possible to reach 700s with stage 3? Will we see 9s on RS5? Yeah, so that's what we're doing on stage 1 on the 2.9TT. I think 700 horsepower will be possible.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
with
Hybrid turbos. Currently, the factory turbos are the limitation.
Yep.
And yeah, there's no question that we'll see 9-second cars. Pretty street trim 9-second cars. Absolutely. This is a very exciting platform, and the specifically the 2.9T format with the twin turbos is going to allow a lot of airflow from two smaller turbos. So it should be exciting.
Yep.
3.0T is also equally exciting.
Yeah.
It's
just as much going on there.
This V6 turbo setup from Audi is a godsend for us in the performance community. It's pretty awesome. So, all right, let's jump into some of the other questions. We have a little less than half an hour.
A ton